In the planet's remotest and coldest regions, an ancient mystery is hidden, a millenary tribe known as the Inuit. This community has remained isolated from the rest of the world for generations, managing to survive in the most challenging environment on Earth. This isolation, together with the extreme conditions in which they live, has influenced surprising traditions such as sharing their wives with foreign visitors, practicing polygamy, or adopting orphaned children. These traditions have been fundamental in helping them survive as a species in the most extreme region of the planet, where temperatures drop below 60 degrees Celsius to the point that the wind itself could kill you. A resilience that has allowed them to design ice houses, known as igloos, capable of maintaining an interior temperature up to 60 degrees Celsius warmer than the outside temperature. A tribe known as raw meat eaters, so connected to nature that they are able to listen to the wind to predict storms, or use animals to help them move and hunt, or detect cracks in the icy surface on which they live that could cost them their lives. A region that seems to be slowly disappearing and may force this ethnic group, one of the most extraordinary in humanity, to completely change their way of life. Don't miss this new video from Uncensored World to discover the fascinating reality of the Inuit and the curiosities that have helped them survive in what is surely the most inhospitable and lethal environment on our planet. Let's get started. In the most remote and frozen lands on our planet, there is a vast territory covered by eternal snow and ice. It is here, in the Arctic, where the Inuit have made their home, braving the most extreme temperatures known to mankind. In winter, the thermometer can drop to below 60 degrees Celsius, a cold so extreme that most human beings would not survive even a few hours without adequate protection. This hostile and apparently uninhabitable environment has shaped the lives of the Inuit, who have developed unique abilities to thrive in what many would consider the limit of survival. The territory where the Inuit live covers vast expanses of northern Canada, Greenland, Alaska, and parts of Siberia. These regions are dominated by tundra and sea ice, where vegetation is scarce and natural resources are limited. Sunlight is also a challenging factor. During the winter months, the sun does not rise at all in some areas, leaving the Inuit in constant semi-darkness for weeks on end. In summer, however, the sun shines relentlessly, bathing the landscape in perpetual light. The cold is not the only enemy in this region. Snowstorms can hit without warning, creating conditions of almost zero visibility, and temperatures that drop even further due to the icy wind. The Inuit have learned to read the environment with impressive precision, listening to changes in the wind and observing animal behavior to anticipate these deadly storms. This intimate connection with nature has been key to their survival. Adapting to this environment requires unparalleled resilience and creativity. The Inuit have designed tools, clothing, and shelters that protect them from the extreme cold. Their igloos, built with blocks of compacted snow, are a brilliant example of their ingenuity. Although they are made of ice, these structures can maintain an interior temperature warm enough to guarantee survival, thanks to body heat and an efficient design that minimizes heat loss. Later on, we will go into detail about how igloos are built and what the mysteries and secrets are to help withstand the most extreme temperatures on the planet, and even maintain temperatures inside of more than 60 degrees Celsius above those outside. The history of the Inuit goes back thousands of years to when their ancestors, known as the Thule people, migrated from Siberia to the cold regions of the Arctic. This journey across the Bering Strait marked the beginning of their settlement in some of the most hostile areas on the planet. Their ability to adapt to this extreme environment is one of the most fascinating stories of human resilience ever told. The Thule were experts in navigation and survival in extreme climates, knowledge they brought with them when they settled in the Arctic. These people not only had to face the low temperatures, but also a landscape dominated by vast ice fields and frozen oceans. To prosper, they developed advanced tools and techniques, such as kayaks, dog sleds, and hunting tools made of bone and ivory. As the Thule evolved into what we know today as the Inuit, their customs and knowledge adapted even more to the environment. their ability to read nature and anticipate climate change, to hunt marine species such as seals and whales, and to build shelters such as igloos, allowed them to establish sustainable communities in a place where others would have perished. This deep connection with nature not only ensured their survival, but also defined their culture. In Alaska, for example, and in other regions, the indigenous tribes are commonly known as Eskimos, a term that has historically been used to refer to the indigenous peoples of the Arctic. The word Eskimo is believed to come from the Algonquin term ayak ame, which translates as eater of raw meat. However, this word has been considered by some to be pejorative due to its connotation, and the fact that it was used by the colonizers to refer to the indigenous peoples of the Arctic. In an effort to reaffirm their identity and avoid the use of a term considered offensive, many of these peoples, especially those in Canada and Greenland, have adopted the term Inuit, a word in Inuktitut that means the people or real people, and is considered a more respectful and accurate way of referring to these peoples and their cultures. With this in mind, it is good to understand that for the Inuit, both you who are watching this video and I who am making it, we are Inuit. An Inuit who, in your case, I hope you are subscribed to Uncensored World, because as you can see, discovering the world with us is interesting and fascinating, so thank you. Inuit culture is an integral part of Alaska's identity that makes it unique and recognizable throughout the world. Their traditions and beliefs have been passed down from generation to generation over the centuries. Some of these traditions are highly controversial, such as the fact that they, or their women, are considered the most hospitable people on the planet, since, among other things, and with much more sense than many of us would believe, some of these Inuit maintain the tradition of sharing their women to spend the night with newcomers. We will soon go into this in detail, but before that it is important to understand the functioning and reality of their igloos, a kind of hut made entirely of ice, or rather a special compact snow, which, strange as it may sound or seem, are able to retain heat and help them survive. Igloos are not just simple ice shelters. They are a true masterpiece of Inuit engineering. For more than 5,000 years, these shelters have been essential for survival in the Arctic, where outside temperatures can drop below 50 degrees Celsius. Despite being made of snow, which is naturally cold, igloos take advantage of a surprising principle: the thermal insulation of air pockets trapped in compacted snow. Igloo blocks are not made of solid ice, but of compacted snow cut directly from the ground. This snow, which combines density and lightness, is ideal for building strong walls that also keep in the heat. The characteristic shape of the igloo, a catenary arch, is an extremely stable structure that distributes weight evenly, resisting both strong winds and snow accumulation. Inside the igloo, the temperature can remain between 40 and 60 degrees above the outside temperature. This is possible thanks to the body heat of the inhabitants, which warms the air inside the shelter. The interior design of the igloo ensures that warm air rises to the upper areas, while cold air accumulates at lower levels, away from the resting areas. Strange as it may seem, the Inuit were not the only ones to discover this principle. It is more than likely that these Eskimos observed these constructions first in nature, since animals such as polar bears, marmots, and birds such as the capercaillie have made dens in the snow since ancient times to conserve heat. Even plants use snow as a thermal blanket to protect them from extreme cold. Inspired by these examples, the Inuit perfected their techniques to create shelters capable of defying the most lethal climate on the planet. One of the keys to the success of Inuit igloos is the type of snow used. The Inuit understand that the snow must be compact enough to support the weight of the structure, but it must also contain enough air to act as insulation. In addition, body heat melts a thin inner layer of the walls which, when it freezes again, reinforces the structure and improves its ability to retain heat. As you can see, igloos are not just a shelter, but a testament to human creativity and ingenuity in achieving survival. a necessity that touches on almost every aspect of this powerful tribe. In Inuit culture, shamanism plays a crucial role as a bridge between humans and the natural world. Shamans, known as angakuk, are respected figures who act as mediators with the spirits, healers, and spiritual guides. One of the most fascinating beliefs is that the spirits of animals must be honored and respected to ensure success in the hunt. Before hunting, the Inuit often perform rituals or prayers to ask permission from the animal's spirit, thus ensuring a balance between survival and respect for nature. Among their most intriguing legends are the Turngeite, evil spirits that can bring bad luck or illness if the proper traditions are not followed. In addition, stories of transformations between humans and animals, such as wolves or bears, reflect the deep connection of the Inuit with the environment that surrounds them. These beliefs, passed down from generation to generation, not only explain the natural world, but also offer cultural tools to face the challenges of such a hostile environment. The remoteness and wildness of the lands inhabited by the Inuit has given rise to a large number of legends and mysterious tales that continue to fascinate the world. Among these stories, the figure of the Yeti, also known as the abominable snowman, stands out. Although its origin is not directly linked to the Inuit, the myth of the Yeti finds parallels in their neighboring regions of the Arctic and Siberia. Events such as the enigmatic deaths that occurred on the Dyatlov Pass in Siberia, where 9 hikers died in strange and terrifying circumstances, have fed this legend. Some stories even suggest the existence of unknown creatures lurking in the vast, frozen expanses of the north. Another fascinating and dark figure is the werewolf of the snows, a creature that, according to certain local traditions, combines human and wolf characteristics, prowling the Arctic nights. Although these stories are often seen as myths, for the Inuit and other northern peoples, they reflect the perception of a hostile environment full of incomprehensible forces that must be respected in order to survive. It is because of this need to stay alive that most Inuit adopt any child who has been orphaned. In these inhospitable regions, survival is not an individual matter, but a collective effort. For this reason, the adoption of orphaned children is a deeply rooted practice that guarantees that no child is left helpless, even in the most difficult circumstances. Adopted children are not only welcomed with love, but also taught the skills needed to contribute to the community, such as hunting, sewing, and building shelters. This tradition has a pragmatic logic. In an environment where each individual is vital to the survival of the group, losing a child would not only be a personal tragedy, but also a blow to the sustainability of the community. Thus, the Inuit transform loss into opportunity, strengthening their social ties and ensuring the continuity of their way of life. This is also reflected in another tradition that is controversial for many, the practice of polygamy among the Inuit. This reality also has its roots in the need to survive as a species. In an environment where daily tasks require a collective effort, having several wives could mean a greater capacity to divide responsibilities and ensure subsistence. While the men devoted themselves to hunting and other physically demanding activities, the women made the fur clothing essential to endure the extreme cold and took care of the home. In small, isolated communities, polygamy also offered a practical solution to demographic imbalances, ensuring that all women had a place in society and that families could thrive even in times of adversity. This practice, although it may seem strange from a modern perspective, was intrinsically linked to the logic of survival in one of the harshest environments on the planet. But if there is one reality that strikes anyone who discovers the Inuit culture, even more so if you are a traveler and have to spend the night with them, it is having to spend the night with one of their wives. Those who arrive in the Inuit region and are not familiar with their customs, especially if they are traveling as a couple, are likely to be surprised when faced with this peculiar tradition. Not only is it shocking, but it can be very difficult for them to refuse this form of hospitality, as many Eskimos consider a refusal to be a serious offense. In some cases, according to reports, a refusal can even have extreme consequences. According to the book The North Alaskan Eskimo, a study in ecology and society. As soon as you arrive at an Eskimo family's house, the head of the household may offer to let you spend the night with his wife. If the visitor refuses, this is taken as an affront which, in certain contexts, could even be paid for with death. Surprising but true. How did you find it? What do you think of this Inuit practice? Would you accept the invitation? What surprised you the most? Pause the video and leave us your comment. You know that doing so is the best way to help the channel, and we'd love to read you. So thank you. And if you are enjoying this content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss the new videos we make every week. This peculiar display of hospitality does not distinguish between visitors. The Inuit consider it a privilege to be offered. Although the men offer their wives, it is usually up to them to decide whether or not to accept. This detail underlines the respect for Inuit women, who are valued not only for their ability to work, but also for the sexual freedom that their partners grant them, something that may seem unusual from other cultural perspectives. Although it may seem strange to many, this custom, which has now almost completely disappeared, makes sense within Inuit society. In an environment where isolation and cooperation are fundamental, sharing wives with visitors or members of other communities not only fostered hospitality, but also strengthened ties between groups and ensured genetic diversity within the population. Furthermore, in the event that the husband was unable to father children or had difficulty doing so, this form of hospitality helped to perpetuate the Inuit species. In addition to this controversial tradition, some Inuit not only lend their wives to guests, but also practice the ritual exchange of partners, an act performed for religious purposes and always with the knowledge and approval of the local shaman, known as Angekok. Some accounts attesting to this practice of ritual exchange came from explorers and anthropologists. Many of these narratives, therefore, are external interpretations and are often exaggerated or distorted by the Western perspectives of the visitors. That is why we would like to take this opportunity to ask you, in case you are familiar with the Inuit culture, to tell us, are these practices still carried out? Or do you think they have never been carried out, and that it is all due to the external perspective? It will be great to hear from you, even more so if you have first-hand knowledge of this amazing ancient culture. Throughout the centuries, the Inuit have managed to maintain their cultural independence, thanks mainly to their geographical isolation and their ability to survive in this inhospitable environment. Among the Inuits' greatest allies in their daily struggle for survival are their faithful huskies, animals that are not only companions, but also vital tools for hunting, traveling, and exploring the vast frozen territory where they live. These breeds, such as the Siberian Husky and the Alaskan Malamute, are resistant to extreme cold, strong, and capable of traveling great distances over snow and ice, pulling sleds loaded with provisions or game. Eskimo dogs not only help with transportation, they are also indispensable for hunting. Their keen sense of smell allows them to track animals in the snow, and their natural instinct makes them key allies in identifying hidden cracks in the ice that are dangerous for humans. This ability has saved countless lives, allowing the Inuit to move more safely in such an unpredictable environment. The Inuit, traditionally nomadic, use their dogs to travel long distances in search of new lands and resources. Dog sleds are an essential tool for crossing the tundra and frozen plains, carrying supplies and setting up temporary camps. But their ability to move through these regions does not depend solely on the dogs. The Inuit are expert observers of the environment. They interpret subtle signals from the wind, the tides, the stars, and animal behavior to anticipate climate change and find safe routes. Despite these incredible abilities, climate change is rapidly transforming the Arctic. Global warming is weakening the sea ice, forcing the Inuit to change their hunting and migration routes. The migrations of key animals such as seals and caribou are being altered, further complicating their way of life. This change not only affects their mobility, but also the ability of the dogs to move efficiently through increasingly unpredictable terrain. As you have seen, the Inuits' capacity to adapt and survive is unique in the world. With a lifestyle that is out of the ordinary for most of us, they manage to survive in one of the most inhospitable environments on the planet without direct access to drinking water, obtaining liquids from raw meat and melted ice. This reality, together with their ability to interpret nature, traditions, and engineering, is a marvel that continues to impress modern explorers and scientists. But unfortunately, accelerated melting is forcing these communities to reinvent themselves, either by modernizing their tools or moving to new regions that allow them to maintain their lifestyle. In the present day, huskies remain invaluable allies. Although conditions are changing, their role as companions in hunting, exploration, and transportation remains valid. However, the future poses challenges for the Inuit and their dogs, who will have to adapt together to an Arctic that is changing day by day. This connection between humans and animals, forged over generations, is a reminder of the resilience and connection with nature that defines life in the Arctic. Unfortunately, the present reality raises a question. Will the Inuit be able to continue to face these changes and survive? Only time will tell, but we at Uncensored World wish them the best of luck. From Uncensored World, we hope that this video has helped you discover one of the most remote and extraordinary tribes on the planet, and that it has been as interesting for you as it has been for us. If so, don't hesitate to leave us a nice like and a comment. It's the best way to help us continue working to bring you interesting content like this every week. Or like this video you can watch now, to discover another of the most mysterious and beautiful places on the planet. Click on it, you're going to enjoy it.